to really make sure we're getting the long head of the tricep as well, because as I've said, most of the movements really target the medial head and the lateral head of the tricep, not so much the long head. We don't want to neglect that, because that is again one of the tricep heads that is underused when we're pressing, when we're doing our bench pressing, etc. as well. We don't want to be taking the leaning or swinging on it too much. Our focus is on the movement through our elbow joint. When we come to this high point here, we're getting a real nice stretch through the tricep. That's kind of what we're chasing here. And what we're doing is, again, flexion and extension with the elbow joint. It's all the same, baby. Don't be fooled by fancy packaging. Really squeeze that tricep. Lock that elbow, squeeze it. Yeah. And welcome back to your mum's favorite channel on YouTube, Cult Strength. Now today I am going to be showing you the best tricep exercises that you can do to not only build a big bench press, but to also build big triceps. Because let's face it, big triceps definitely do help when it comes to building a big bench press, just as having a big back does. It's very applicable to the movement because obviously we're using our triceps to press the weight. So it's never gonna hurt to have bigger and stronger triceps. Now for today's video, how I'm gonna do this, right? I'm gonna show you what I believe to be 3 true mass builders for the triceps. And then I'm gonna show you 3 movements that we would do to, let's say, refine and sculpt the triceps how we want them, right? We've got to look at it from a couple different directions. We've got to hit, the meat of it. We've also got to hit the, there's 3 heads to the triceps, and the medial head, that gets a lot of work. But there's the other 2 heads, I know what you're thinking, shut up, that they don't see as much action. You know what I'm saying? So we're going to make sure that these movements cover all 3 heads of the triceps, which is very important when it comes to building a well-developed tricep. Let's get this, baby. All right, baby. Now, the first exercise for the triceps I'm going to show you today is the tricep skull crusher. Okay, now this movement is typically performed with a barbell. That's how I like to do it anyway. That's how I'm going to show you. Now, this movement, most of the work done is with the medial head of the tricep, although the long head and the lateral head are also getting some work. Now, we can adjust the angle of the bench that we're doing this on to manipulate more of the long head being hit. But for the purpose of this movement, this is what I would call, a heavy hitter for the triceps. This is a mass builder. So I like to do it in a flat bench, and typically this is the heavier movement that I'll do. So if I'm coming into the gym to train my triceps, or I'm doing my bench press session and then I have tricep work afterwards, like for example, if you're following the Barbarian or the Bench Press Behemoth programs, you'll see there's tricep exercises at the end of both of the bench press days, which is common in most programs. So if you have any bench press program and you have triceps in there, or maybe they're on another day, these are all movements that you can put into that program and use, right? So it's kind of like dealer's choice. You pick the ones that you think you need the most, or potentially they're just your favorite. But obviously it's definitely important to keep in mind that we want to be making sure that we're hitting all 3 heads of the triceps with those movements. We don't want to neglect one single head. For example, the long head of the tricep is often neglected, so there will be a movement that is really good at targeting that as well, which I will show you. But we're going to start now. 60 kilos today for demonstration's sake. Now, this movement you would have seen done quite a bit. And the way that we're going to do this, now typically, it's called a skull crusher, and people typically bring the barbell down to their forehead. What I want you to try and do, if you have the mobility, is to try and bring it down just over your head. So you're clearing your head, because we want to get more flexion through the elbow joint, which is going to drive tricep growth. Because when we obviously take a muscle through full stretch, that's when we're more likely to cause that metabolic damage, which gives you the potential for more muscle growth and strength. So that's what we're trying to do here. We're really trying to get that elbow into flexion, and then we're going to be contracting to go back into extension. Okay, so we're going to do 5 repetitions for argument's sake here, and I'm going to just show you what it looks like, and then we'll talk a little bit more after that. Now, some people have actual setups made for this movement. I just use a bench press. Keep in mind, if you're using a bench press, you have to set up a lot further down so you don't start hitting the rack when we're doing it. So I typically get a very close grip. You know, on most barbells, you got the smooth parts here and it stops. I go just where it starts getting rough on the barbell, which is around shoulder width, maybe just inside of shoulder width. Okay, unrack. Now we're holding it similar to a place where we would hold in the bench press, maybe a little higher. What we're doing now though is we're going to bend the elbows and the barbell will come down just over my head. All right, so 5 reps with the skull crusher. Now with that movement, right, as you can see there, me personally, I'm quite stiff through the shoulders. So it takes a bit for me to get through that full range of motion. The more I do this movement, the better that gets. But you can see the flexion I'm creating through my elbow joint, right? That is the common factor when it comes to training triceps, is we have to take it through flexion to get the stretch. So again, this is an excellent movement that isn't a press, because yes, obviously we have bench press, close grip bench press, we have floor press, incline bench press. They're all using the triceps in a very, they're dominantly tricep movements, but we do a lot of that already. We do a lot of bench press, we do our dumbbell press, we do our incline press, right? We need to do things that aren't necessarily using the pecs and the shoulders like those other movements. They're big compound movements. You can't just keep doing, as I keep saying, more and more compound movements. If you're getting through the end of your bench press session, you've done a lot of volume, your shoulders are getting beat up, but there's still things you want to do, right? You still want to work on your triceps. Well, obviously, don't bench more. Do some tricep work, do some isolation work, do your skull crushers, do your cable work. We'll obviously go over all the exercises, but these are the movements that are the best for tricep development that obviously aren't the main presses, because they're also very good. We'll do one more demonstration set in a moment and we'll chat about how you can put that into your program. Let's go. All right, so now, when it comes to putting this in your tricep training, this would be something I would do first typically. As I said, this is a real mass builder. Even if you're going into the gym on a separate day to train arms, I would start with something like, your skull crusher, one of the big heavy hitters, and then you would move on to the more delicate isolation work, we'll say, although it's still hard work, but this is definitely the one where we're moving the weight and we're really taking our elbow joint through flexion under heavy load, which is going to be a great catalyst for adding mass. I'll do one more demonstration just from the back so you can see a different angle, and then we'll move on to the next exercise. All right, easy peasy. So again, really pay attention to allowing yourself to get that full stretch, because the full stretch position is where the gains are made. There's no point doing this movement if you're gonna start doing it like this with a minimal range of motion. That's fucking dumb. All right, we'll take a minute, move on to the next one. Like this video, drop a comment and subscribe. Thank you. All right, baby, now the second movement I'm gonna show you is the tricep dip. Now, this as well is another heavy hitter. This is a great mass builder and something, again, similar to the skull crusher in a sense, but this would be more of a press, but not one we do commonly, right? I guess it would mimic an absolute exaggeration of a decline press, if you want to put it that way. And again, an excellent tricep builder, although I would say that if you're doing a lot of pressing in your program and you don't have really healthy shoulders, adding triceps to that program may be a stretch, but if you feel okay, it's an excellent addition. again, we have to take certain things into account when we're building a big bench press, right? Like our shoulder health. And if a certain tricep movement is going to be, let's say, damaging or hurt us for our next bench press session, it may not be worth it. The risk to reward isn't there, which is why we would opt for, again, more cable-like exercises. However, if you're desperately wanting to pack on strength and size to your triceps, and as I said, you have pretty healthy shoulders, dips, a fantastic option to add in there. Now, again, as I said, there's many ways to do dips. You can do them with weight added to you. You can do, weight-assisted chin-ups, which makes it easier. Dips, which makes it easier. Although for me, I'm gonna do them just with body weight today, just as a demonstration. I don't even want to do this demonstration. I bench pressed yesterday. My pecs and shoulders are fried, but I'm gonna show you a quick set. I'm not gonna push the range of motion too far, but keep in mind again that if you're doing this movement, the full stretch is what you want. Don't overload it and do little pops at the top, right? We want that full stretch, taking through full flexion and extension of the elbow joint. As I said, that is the catalyst for tricep growth, for muscle growth, okay? Range of motion, taking that through the full range, through flexion and extension under load. That is fucking key. Now, obviously you've probably seen tricep dips done before. As I said, we don't want poppy movements. I'm gonna show you something. I see a lot of people doing this shit, right? All right, you look like a fuckhead for one, so fucking stop. Full range of motion. If you can't do a full dip with your body weight, that's okay, bro. We can get stronger. We can do, as I said, assisted dips, and we can do other tricep movements to help get us strong. If you're gonna do the movements, do them properly. I'm gonna give you a demonstration. Now, we're just gonna do 5 reps, and we're all gonna sit here and hope that I don't have a blowout of my pec or shoulder. It should be okay, but pay attention to, again, the range of motion. I'm going to at least 90 degrees, with my elbow joint, so pay attention to that. I'm only doing one fucking set, so don't miss it. All right, that wasn't actually too bad. But as you can see, taking it through a full range, getting that stretch through my triceps. Again, this is hitting more of the medial head of the tricep and the lateral head a little bit, not so much the long head. That is, I'm gonna show you a movement soon, which is really good at targeting that. But again, this is more of a big mass builder for the medial head of the tricep. Yes, it works a little bit of the other heads, but again, dominantly medial head, which is a big old head in the middle of your tricep. You know what I'm saying? And again, when it comes to doing these in your program, I would do these as one of the first tricep movements you do, because they're gonna be the most taxing. So you wanna do it whilst you're relatively fresh, or as fresh as possible, before going on to your higher rep cable movements, etc. But if you're doing dips and you can do, 15 reps easy, well, maybe add some weight, because again, probably the rep ranges you want to stick to mostly would be 8s to 12s, maybe some 15s and 20s sometimes, of course, but 8s to 12s, maybe even 6s. So we would need to add load for that to obviously, achieve the difficulty that you need to force the growth. But we'll take a minute, move on to the next one, and again, make sure you like this video, drop a comment and subscribe. All right, baby, now we're gonna move on to our third big mass builder. Now, this can also be used, again, I would say, to refine our triceps, but it's easier to overload this movement than the other ones. That is why it's found its place into number 3. Now, one thing I'll say is everybody's gonna have their opinion on, oh, this one's better for your triceps. No, this one's better for your triceps. What about this one? Fuck, man, I can't put them all in the video. I'm telling you my favorites. These are the ones that I think will work the best. And keep in mind, if there's variations of these movements, they're still probably applying the same principles of taking, elbow through flexion and extension through a full range and targeting different heads of the triceps. So there may be several different ways to do that, but I'm showing you what I believe is the best way to do that. My opinion, this is a product I've built. I've coached people to big numbers. Myself, I'm a pretty strong fucking dude. So, does it work? Absolutely it works. That's why I'm telling you and showing you. Now here, so tricep push downs, okay? Difference between a tricep push down and a pull down, hands over the top for the push down, right? we're going to be able to leverage our body and move more weight. So I'd say it's more of a mass builder for the triceps. A very simple one, and you know, repetitions and sets, this can be done, I would say, typically at the end of your session, after you've done maybe like a skull crusher or a dip, or you know, this could be the main one that you're starting with before you go on to do maybe a tricep pull down or some single arm tricep work. But again, this is an excellent mass builder, more so hitting the medial head of the tricep, a bit of the lateral head, not so much the long head, but it is probably one of my favorites for catching a tricep pump. So I'll give you a quick demonstration. We're gonna say 10 or 15 repetitions in. Again, be relatively strict with the movement, don't take the piss. Yes, we want to get a bit of our body weight over it so we can move more weight, but we don't want to be taking the piss or leaning or swinging on it too much. Our focus is on the movement through our elbow joint. When we come to this high point here, we're getting a real nice stretch through the tricep. That's kind of what we're chasing here. All right. All right, let's get it. So this is where we get the contraction, really push down, lock the elbows, and we get the stretch. If you really want to challenge yourself, create a tempo on this part. Feel that stretch. Yeah, so you can make it harder for yourself if you want to, or you can just chase the pump. It's up to you, but that's an excellent movement for building big, strong fucking triceps, let me tell you right now. And this is one that you've commonly seen me do. This is, as I said, one of my favorites, and I'll tell you why. Because this to me is more practical in a bench building program per se than putting in dips or skull crushers, simply because the amount of volume and weight that I'm bench pressing in these programs gives me sore elbows and shoulders. So I don't need to go and further abuse my elbows and shoulders to grow my triceps. Keep in mind, we've already done the pressing, which is amazing for tricep development. So we don't necessarily need to go and do the heavy hitters of triceps to continue our tricep growth. Simply coming and doing a bunch of push downs and pull downs, as you'll see soon, would be completely, you know, sufficient for what you're trying to do. However, this isn't about that. If you really, really want to build a huge, jacked fucking big tricep, then yes, the heavy hitters are excellent. And if you have the capacity to do them and you're not in too much pain, it will definitely serve you very well. But what I'm saying is, if that's not you, do not stress. You're still gonna get fucking huge. You know what I'm saying? I don't even need to do another set. I'm just gonna do one because I fucking love the pump. Yeah, fucking suck that. And keep in mind, guys, on my website right now, we have the bench press behemoth bench building program, as well as the barbarian bench press program, my other one, which is a little bit older, but just as fantastic. They're for sale now, and I'm running these programs with you on my YouTube channel, the playlist. Go and check them out. And again, you know, there's a lot of gains for you to be had there. And we've got the squat program coming out tomorrow night as well. So the squat slayer, it's going to be a big one. I'm looking forward to running that with you as well. Then we'll have the behemoth, the deadlift destroyer, and the squat slayer all at once. And don't tell me I bit off too much. I'll prove you wrong. It is what it is. We'll take a minute, quit these last three. All right, baby, so they're like the three mass builders, you know, the three big mass builders that I think you can do for your triceps. And the next three that I'm gonna show you are definitely more of the movements that I would do to refine the entire tricep and to really make sure we're getting the long head of the tricep as well. Because as I've said, most of the movements really target the medial head and the lateral head of the tricep, not so much the long head. We don't want to neglect that, because that is, again, one of the tricep heads that is underused when we're pressing, when we're doing our bench pressing, etc. as well. Now, before we move on though, quickly, if you want to get in on my very first order of the God Killer wrist wraps and the Figure 6 lifting straps, be sure to do that ASAP. They will be here in the next 2 to 3 weeks, although I think I'm down to about 6 or 7 pairs of each. So if you want to get in on the first drop, do that now. I will be doing knee wraps and knee sleeves, etc. Probably even shin sleeves for deadlifts in the very near future. I can't tell you when that will be. I have some samples coming, but as I said, get in on this first drop. It won't be the last, but it's never nice to wait, especially when I get them and they're gonna be fucking sick and you'll be like, oh, I wish I ordered some, but I didn't. And you're gonna go, Mom, and she's gonna go, shut the fuck up. You know what I mean? It is what it is. But if you wanna get them, my website, cultstrength.square.site, they'll be here in a few weeks and they'll ship out immediately. They are sick. Now, for our long head of our tricep, my favorite movement is the overhead tricep extension. I'm gonna show you how that's done. All we need is a cable, ideally, and I like the ropes. I like the ropes and the separation we get at the end, but it is what it is. We're gonna extend overhead, right? So I'm gonna lean forward slightly and go through flexion and extension. Well, this time, however, as our elbows are over our head, we're getting a lot more stress through the long head of our tricep, which is that part of the tricep we're trying to hit with this movement. When you have the ropes, when you get to the top, really pull those ropes apart and get tension outside as well. Pull them apart. That's what she said. Ooh. Lovely movement. As I said, hits the triceps exactly where we want to. We want to make sure we're having a well-developed tricep, not just focusing on one part of the tricep. That's not going to be your friend in the end. You know what I'm saying? But we'll take a moment, quickly. Rep ranges, higher rep ranges, 10 to 15 to 20 mostly. I wouldn't go much lower than that with these refinement movements. As I said, these are, or let's say, I don't like using the word sculpting, but think of it that way. We're creating the tricep we desire by targeting certain heads of the tricep, and that's what we're doing. So we're making it happen. Let's go. All right, now another fantastic movement that I find for the long head of the tricep. It really does hit it for me, and it's a fantastic end to a superset that I tend to do often as well, which is the tricep push down with the tricep pull down. So this is the tricep pull down. The difference with the tricep push down and pull down is the push and the pull. Tricep push down is hands over. This is hands palms to the sky, right? Pulling down. We're pulling down, and it's definitely hitting a little more of the long head than the push down. Than the push down would. So again, another excellent tricep variation when it comes to building a big bench press and big triceps. Now I like to use a straight bar when doing this one. Again, control movement, try not to throw it down, try and squeeze it down. Quite tough. Full stretch, full contraction. Again, you can do tempos to make it harder, or you can just get that fucking pump. But make sure you're going through a full range. Whew, I like it. We have one more movement to go over to really round out these big fucking triceps that you're trying to get. Make sure you like this video, drop a comment and subscribe, and I won't tell your mum on you. Let's go. All right, baby, now finally, some single arm tricep work. Now this is what I would do to really finish that pump. I find it really easy to contract and squeeze when you finish with one arm movements. You can really focus all of your attention and effort on that one contraction. So single arm work definitely has a place in building triceps, especially in chasing that squeeze and that contraction. You know, that's sometimes a little difficult when we're doing heavy tricep movements. This is where we go a little bit lighter now and we focus solely on the pump and the squeeze. So again, cable, I like a high cable, high like me, you know what I'm saying? It is what it is. And we like to just grab onto this pole here to stabilize ourselves. And what we're doing is, again, flexion and extension with the elbow joint. It's all the same, baby. Don't be fooled by fancy packaging. Really fucking squeeze that tricep. Lock that elbow, squeeze it. Yeah. And yeah, you go the other side, fucking make it even. But this is a fucking awesome finisher for any tricep, session that you're doing. I tend to finish off most of my bench press sessions with this, whether it was the Barbarian program or the bench press behemoth. I know how important all these movements are when it comes to building a big fucking bench press. And that's the truth. If you want to build a big fucking bench press, you want big triceps, if you want the whole package, you've got to train that way. We can't just focus on one thing. You can't do the one thing you really love to do. For me, that's bench press. I love bench pressing. I don't like doing this shit. It's not as fun. But if I want a big bench press and I want to be fucking jacked, I have to train the complete package. And that is what it is. So you got to get it through your head. It might be boring, it might be tedious, but this is the shit that works. This is the money in the bank. And if you're not making those deposits, well, you ain't gonna pull out a big bench. You know what I'm saying? I hope this helped, I do. As I said, I'm gonna be trying to do more tutorials still. I have the squat program dropping tomorrow. And what I wanted to do as well as starting that program myself, I wanna drop a full comprehensive squat tutorial, breaking down the entire movement as a whole. Obviously, I've given you a few videos with a few cues that have been very helpful, but I want to give you the whole package. So when you start this squat program, you have a video, obviously, to refer to for your technique, because again, good technique is a catalyst for strength gains. Okay, you can get big and strong, but if you're not moving with the right pattern, all that muscle's gone to waste. The same with anything. Same with building massive triceps. We still have to work on our technique on the bench press. Because if you want a big bench press, you've got to put it all together. You've got to have the size and you've got to have the width. It's not like you can just be a dumb fuck, come into the gym, lay on the bench and continue to get stronger. At some point, something's gonna happen, right? Which is why we need to use our brains if we want to be in it for the long haul. And if we want to continue to get better, because it's very easy to just go, I'm kind of strong, I'm stronger than everyone in my gym, I don't need to get stronger. Fuck that noise, that's fucked. You can always get stronger. And if you don't think you can, find a different fucking gym, because there's monsters around. And if you're hiding from them, well, you're just a bitch. Anyway, that's enough from me. Until next time, you know what to do. Go to our website, buy a program, buy some wraps, and go to the fucking gym. Let's get it.